right, let's get started. So, first thing is this is our first lesson for scientific content. So, most lessons you're going to need someone to take notes. So, I'm going to give you guys two free choices. So, the first choice is a science notebook. If you have a science notebook, I want you to take that out right now. Okay. We can do that later. We don't need the library today. Go to the library. You guys put well, give a moment. So first option for taking notes is you can take notes on paper. And you can do that in a slide note. That is my preferred method because I like to give you guys handouts to glue it. So if you have a notebook, take out the notebook. If you don't have a notebook and you want to take one, I have some in the drawer here. You can help yourself. So that's right. Second option for notes is the clear pocket folder. I have sheets over there you just take up. And what you can do is with your science notes, you can write them on refills, write them on recycled paper, and then put it into the little clear pocket. So that's option number 2 if you want to do that. Okay. Option number 3 is that you type up your notes on your computer. So I'm happy you want to do digital notes. You're welcome to do that as well. Okay, so that's why you can close the science book, and I'll tell you what to do for the online. Okay, so you have choices. You either do it online or you can do it on paper. If you don't want paper, now I'll take that book. If you want a notebook, you can get a notebook. If you want a clear pocket, you can grab a clear pocket. If you want to do your notes online, then a computer. If you're going to get your notes online, you can put it in your devices. So if you want to do your paper or on your bed. Okay, so you put it in your All right. Ashley and Noah, do you guys want a clear pocket so you can organize your time? You got one? Okay. Do you have a clear pocket? Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Everybody has a system. All right. I'm very flexible about systems. So, some things to know. I will give you a mixture of structure right down, and I'll also give you guys some paper handouts of things. Now, if you're doing something online, obviously I don't want to give you the paper because then you don't have it integrated into your online notes, right? So, what you need to be mindful of is going to that Google Classroom page. So let me get back to that page the night before. You guys can read it if you want, or you guys can use it in class if you want. So, for those that are doing online notes, I suggest you make sure you open up today's lesson. So you go to lesson number 1, that's what we're covering, and we go to the Google site. I suggest you open the PowerPoint for today that I'm using. All right. How are we going with those that are doing online notes? I know. You paper notes instead of behind it. All right, what I will do for you guys, since you might want to do some online notes, is I will create an assignment for you to write your online notes. Does that sound like a good plan? Cool. Assign. Cool. So let me show you guys what I have done for those that are doing online notes. So on Google Classroom, you will see this new post that says online notes for wide world of sports. And I've created an assignment. Since I've created it as assignment, you are going to have your own copy of a Google Doc. We're going to click on that. All the others are going to be the example. And there is a Google Doc now for Alia to write her notes for the day. Does that sound good to those doing computer notes? Yeah? So you're going to notice that with some of my lessons, I'm going to have things that are going to be images I'm going to ask you to, make notes on and things like that. I want you to make sure to get a copy of those notes in your digital one. So it's really important that when you go to Google Classroom, you click on the notes for today's lesson, which we've done, and that will open up. Actually, let me close it all so you can see it. Open up the Google site, and then open up the PowerPoint. So that way, when you guys are doing your notes, you can take the images in the worksheets that I would have handed out. So for example, we're scrolling down, and this is an image that we are using for today's lesson. You'll be able to copy that image and paste it into the notes. Where did I put Alias? Anyway, you can then paste it. That way you have a copy of it. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? If you're doing things online, I still want you guys to have it in your digital copy of the book. Sound good? All right, shall we start today's lesson officially? All right, let's do that. Sorry for all the noise. Okay, so it's to write today's date. You can put it in your online note or you can write it in your notebook. So today's date is the 9th of February. So first write that down into your notes. 9-2.22. Either in your online note or in the notebook that you have. Cool. The next thing I want you to write down is the FINF, also known as your learning intention. So what are we accomplishing today? So, just as a good hint, when you guys are looking through my notes, if I have something that's highlighted in yellow, I need that to get written down in the note. So a really good habit for us to write down our learning intention so we know what to expect in each one of those lessons. So today I'm going to explore what is science and how to make observations. I think that's probably as far as we're going to get today, so that's okay. And actually, no, we'll kind of some of those observations, and we'll think a little bit about the conclusion of those observations. So I'm going to talk about that as well. If you understand late, the learning section is always on the board over here as well. We good? All right, while you guys are working on that, I'll create another assignment that I think would be useful. So, the other thing I want you guys to do, if you are already done, is the mafia. The mafia that I do now is the first thing of the lesson. So when it comes in, first thing you do, you take out your notes, whatever they be. Whether it be your device, whether it be your case. You write down the date, you write down the learning intentions, and then we go straight into the do now and start thinking about what we're doing today. So, what today's do now is thinking about it in groups and in pairs. We have a lot of people sitting at a table on the stuff to be tired. And all we discuss what is the purpose of an experiment? Why do we do experiments? And after you finish that discussion, I want you to summarize what you guys talked about for do now. You should have Mahia or do now written in your notes, and you should then have the answer to this question on here. So go ahead and think about what is the reason for us to do experiments? You should have in your notes Mahia do now, so that we have an answer to that question I've given you. And you should discuss it with each other. I want you guys to bounce ideas off each other. What is the purpose of experiments? Recording again. All right. Today, the question was, what is the purpose of an experiment? And then I wanted you guys to write it in your book so that way you remember it. So, does anybody want to share why we do experiments? Anybody want to share? I'm going to make my popsicle stick. I'm going to call your name down. Yeah. We do experiments fun, that is true. I will agree with that. Experiments are really fun. We like to muck around and kind of learn things. Yeah. Perfect. I love that answer. So we do experiments to gain knowledge about something we don't know. And the great thing about science is that we are constantly building on our prior knowledge. So it keeps getting more and more knowledgeable. Anything else that people want to add? I saw a hand up over here. You good? No? All right. So that is what we're thinking about with our mafia, and that's what we're doing for a lot of our experiments. Now, I'm mindful we only this period end at 11:10, so I got 20 minutes, I think. Mo was so confused. Wednesday, right? Oh, she's looking at 11:10. Wednesday, 11:10. Cool. So we actually got 20 minutes. We can get through some more stuff, which is great. All right. So, the other day, I would like to give you guys the lesson plan. So you know what to expect. So we're going to be talking about the scientific method as our first step, and we're also going to be thinking about observations and inferences. We're going to be practicing those observations and inferences, and hopefully we can get to that point at today's lesson. I don't have time to do the measurements, so we can do that when I see you guys next week. You do not need to worry about any of this down, which is simple typing. This is just for us to know what we're trying to accomplish today. Okay? Blue means I'm teaching. Green is activities for you guys. All right, so that is our plan for today's lesson. The other thing that's really important for us to know is what is our success criteria? What are we trying to accomplish so that way we can reflect and go, how have I gotten what I need to do for today's lesson? So there's two that I want to focus on in this lesson, but I think we're only able to get one of them down, which is the first one. I can make careful observations and distinguish them from inferences. So, this is where things are going to get important, and I'm going to give some new instructions for people. So, here is getting paper notes. I think you guys are copy of the All right, no chart? right, you gotta give me something for the loan shark, remember?
You can give me a
Yes, please. That'll work. Teddy's gonna live in number 12. Very cute, Teddy. Alright, so you're gonna need a glue stick. If you don't have a glue stick, you can get one of the loan sharks. So, I want to glue the web into your if you're working on refill, I want to glue it to your refill as well. So we are going to put it to your pocket folder. So that's what I want to do with the paper copies. Yes. So the reason why I didn't give you guys one is because you guys want to do things digitally. It's under word. Oh dear, typos everywhere. Wide world of sports. So I've created it online for you guys, and you have a Google Doc. Everybody has their own Google Doc. So that's where yours is. For those that are working on devices, yours, I haven't given you a paper copy. I've just put it online. Are we good? Can I keep going? You're stuck? So you should have online notes already started. I think I saw that. All right. And then we go on the classwork. And we go success criteria. And then we open that. You have your own copy. So they have paper copies. You have an online copy. All right. So lower chart. Something that you don't want back. Phone, pencil, keys, wallet, face card, top card. No. And I give you a little card so you remember to grab it. And then we have glue stick. Alright. You get at the end. Yeah. Alright. So here's my checklist. There's an online version and then there's a paper version. I'm happy if you want to use either or. Let me show you the paper version because I want to kind of fix something on there. Because I had lots of little typos. There we go. Can you guys see that? Yeah. So, for those that have the paper copy, can you fix a typo? It shouldn't say wild. It should say wide world of sports. Is it all dried out? Oh. All right. So the reason why we have the success criteria is to help us keep track of what we need to cover for this topic and how we are progressing. If you noticed, there's one that says covered in class, and there's one that says I'm ready. So when we look at the beginning of the lesson, and I tell you these are the things we're going to do, you can tick it off. So in reality, today, we probably don't have enough time to do the whole lesson. So we are going to tick off number 1 as covered in class. And if you want, you can do an X. If you have the online version, you can do an X, or I don't know if you can stick in. Let's see. This one here, you can type in an X, for example. We've done that one. All right? Cool. So that's going to be the first one that we're looking at, making careful observations and distinguishing them from inferences. All right, can I move on? Yep. All right, so when you guys see that in the PowerPoint, we'll do that one later. You guys ready? And then we'll talk about observations and inferences. So we'll see how far we get. So I want to pass out this sheet because this is a really good summary of how to do the scientific method. If you guys are doing your notes online, you can copy this out to my PowerPoint and add it. So I'm going to include this into your book as well. So you need to be doing things that online. So I did what? All right, so I want you, if you're doing it online, so you have your notes open. Yeah? Be typing in some notes in here. I want you to go and open up the PowerPoint. So observations, inferences, and measurements is what we're working on. You can open up this PowerPoint here. And if you look onto my PowerPoint, Ella, you can copy that image and put it into your notes as well. So go down here. We're going to copy. And we're going to paste. That way you also have a copy of it. Does that make sense? I'll be able to check your notes to make sure that they're there. All right, are we good with that so far? It's loading. All right, can I start talking? Are you guys ready to look at some of these notes? Yeah, Ella. Download it. You can also be able to copy and paste on the top there. So we downloaded it, and after we downloaded it, we can copy it. So we downloaded it, now I can take that image, copy, and paste. Right click, copy, Control C, and I should be able to do Control C. So let me give you guys some quick notes on what we're thinking about with our um, scientific method. You might zoom up so you guys can see a little bit better. There we go. And I might turn off the light so we can get a better look at that. When we are looking at our for the sequence of events and how do we do science experiments. The first thing that we are doing, and this is tying into that mafia that we had at the start, is that we are exploring. So we're asking questions. And the other thing about this exploring is that we're doing some research and figuring out some information to start off with. So basically, with this explore, we're taking our prior knowledge and trying to think of a new experiment. All right? So that's something you do every day. You have all this knowledge in your head, and you try to then think of something new. All right? So if we're going to write down some extra notes, we can state that we are taking our knowledge, so taking what we know, and making guesses. So we're making guesses about, what sort of questions we're going to ask. So can you guys write that down in your notes? We're making some extra information there. If you're typing them up, you can type up explore, and you can say explore, thinking about taking what we know and making some new guesses. So this morning, I took a different route to work because of the traffic. I was like, I wonder if this route will be better. So I took my prior knowledge of how long it took me to get to work yesterday, what the traffic is like, what schools are in those areas that I drive through, and I go, let's try a different route that may not have a school zone, and that might help with my traffic. So we take whatever we know previously and we use it to help our next steps. Are we good with that so far? All right. With that knowledge, we then define and we think about a new hypothesis. So I take that, and that guess there is my hypothesis. So we make a prediction. I predict that this will be faster. I predict this will be slower. All right, are we good with that so far? Yeah? All right. I am mindful of the time because there's only about 2 or 3 minutes left. So that's okay because we can finish this lesson next week. So let's have a moment just to kind of recap what we've accomplished so far. Sound good? Okay. Can I move this? Yep, okay. So if we go down to our conclusions from those observations, we obviously haven't finished our learning intentions because we haven't talked about observations yet. But we haven't started exploring what is science. So that's good. With this success criteria, the question is, can I make careful observations and distinguish them from inferences? So if you look at your checklist, you see how there's another column that says, I'm ready. So I'll pull out an example so you guys can see it. You guys know how to make observations and inferences? No. So we're not going to off just yet because we don't feel we have succeeded in that criteria. Okay? Does that make sense? So that's what we're doing at the end of the lesson. At the end of the lesson, we check what our learning intention was, and we check to see what our success criteria were. And we're like, oh, actually, you know what? We need some more work on this, and that's okay. All right? So that is what we've done for our first lesson. So, second lesson goes to the right to touch up. So here's some instructions. With devices, you can put them away. For those who can place them, accepting what's the retail. I want to send it in a pocket folder nice and organized. If it's not happening in a pocket folder, I have some over there. You are welcome to bring your mind to the call, but if you don't want to, Remember, I have a box right here that is labeled your present and your fault. Cool. All right, so. Yeah. And if you find anything so I can't be responsible for organizing. So, yeah, if you want to take it, or you can sit in my box. You don't care. But we should write your name on it, so that way it doesn't get lost. So write Ella, write year and time, and then you can also write down my name is Scarlett. So after, you guys get off. So that's what we do. I'm not going to be part of what I need to do. Yeah. And if you want to put it in the box over there, you don't have to carry it back and forth. Otherwise, you have to remember to bring it. Somebody to write their name on anything? Because I got signed. Right, hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to set some routines to make your life a little bit easier. Garlic.
Last patient was Shani.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just saying some Lydia last year.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can online RTL meeting. Yeah. The Shani will be.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, see ya. Go get some lunch. You want to leave things in the classroom and make it easier? Otherwise, you can just take them and What? Don't worry, it'll drop it off at your message today. Hurry up. Should give you guys some beans today. That'd be good. Oh, you cheap for beans. I did because it was cheaper to do this. Yeah. Alright, I'll see you next week. I don't think I see you guys anymore.